From Television City in Hollywood.
Thank you for being a friend. Travel down the road and back again. Your heart is true. You're a pal and a confidant. And if you threw a party, you invited everyone you knew, you would see the biggest gift would be from me, and the card attached would say, thank you for being a friend.
All right, so the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna get started on making our dough. But if you're gonna be making Piroshkies from scratch, the trick is to take your time. You don't wanna be rushing it. We're gonna combine 1.5 cups of warm milk, 2 tablespoons of dry active yeast, half a tablespoon of sugar, half a teaspoon of salt, 1 egg, 2 tablespoons of Crisco oil, and 3 cups of Jiffy all-purpose baking mix. So now we're gonna get this nice and mixed up. You can really smell the yeast. Now we'll sprinkle some Jiffy on the counter and knead the dough until it hits a consistency that's as smooth as a freshly waxed bunghole. Have you ever wondered who invented Piroshkies? The Samoyeds. The Samoyeds invented Piroshkies. The story is that one day, a man named Ebenezer Peroshki and his clan of Samoyedics were out hunting for mammoths. The hunt was long, arduous, and they got lost. Hungry and alone, they hunkered down for the evening in a tight circle to stay warm and started to eat the only thing they had, a single loaf of bread. Then, out of nowhere, a large white wolf came out of the darkness, much like we have here. And it carried a large fish in its mouth and placed it right in front of them. Legend says the wolf spoke to them and encouraged them to eat. So with a sharpened rock, they filleted the fish and stuffed it into the bread. Fully nourished, they returned to the hunt with their newfound animal companion. And that, my friends, is how Piroshkies came to be. So now that we've got the dough all kneaded up, we're gonna place it into a bowl, cover with a wet towel, and set it aside for an hour. All right, so much like the Samoyedic friends that you just learned a lot about, we're gonna be making a fish stuffed Piroshki. What we have here is a freshly caught tilapia, also known as the bastard of the sea. So we're gonna get this fish filleted, scaled, gutted, and ready to cook. We're actually using our fillet knife and we're scaling off the scales of the fish. You're gonna wanna make sure you're going against the grain, kind of like shaving. So now we're gonna gut the fish. So we're gonna start at the belly and we're gonna work our way all the way up to the top of the head. Rip the belly open, you're gonna lift it up and you're just gonna yank out all the guts. So now we're gonna be rinsing out any of the excess guts and most importantly, any excess mercury. Do you know what the #1 killer in America is today? It's mercury poisoning. Let's get started with the fillet. We're gonna start by cutting just beneath the gill cover. And you're gonna wanna go as deep as possible until you hit the backbone. Kind of like making love to a woman. And just like making love, you're gonna wanna keep the backbone intact. So you're gonna hold the fish on its head using your thumb and cut the fish lengthwise toward the tail, slowly and passionately. So now that we've got our fillets ready to go, let's go ahead and get our innards cooked up. We're gonna toss in some Crisco. Just gonna saute up these onions. We're gonna make sure they're nice and caramelized. Now we're gonna add the tilapia. And finally, we're gonna add some Mountain Dew White Label. And that's gonna give it that citrusy, Mountain Dewy, acidy pop that we love in our innards. We're gonna go ahead and add our Crisco into the vat for our Piroshkies when we're ready to deep fry them. Now back to our dough. So we're gonna get some Jiffy down onto the counter and we're gonna go ahead and knead this into a smooth ball. We're gonna get this nice and flattened out, give it a little spank. Grab your Mountain Dew Kickstart to roll out the dough. Do the do. Last but not least, flip the dough and we're ready to go. So now it's time to stuff these with a thick wad of innards. 2 wads need not be the same. You're gonna crease your half moon and pinch the loaf to seal. And you can really use your imagination here. You can use any shape or any size, and your Piroshkies will turn out perfect. Ebenezer would be proud if he could see this. Okay, so now we've got our Piroshkies ready to go. So let's go ahead and get them in the hot Crisco. So we're gonna slide our Piroshkies into the hot oil. Let these cook up for about, I'd say 2 to 3 minutes. Just making sure we get them to a nice brown color. It's got a nice little tan to it. All right, so I'm gonna get these transferred out onto a plate and prepare for my guests. Hi guys, thanks for coming over to my Peroshki Peace Summit. You know, bringing 2 nations together is a lot like making Piroshkies. It can be a bit scary at first and feel downright impossible. But if we've learned anything from Ebenezer Peroshki and his white wolf, is that
we interrupt this program. This is a national emergency. Important instructions will follow.
Russian fighter planes attacked several targets, including the cities of, but not limited to, Boston, Portland, New York